All right,
Top
third
3.
topic, Hyukoh.
Hyukoh 24. How
24,
to find true
because
love
Ohyuk is
and
24 now.
happiness.
Aren't they all the same age?
I have no idea. I just looked up Ohyuk's age.
I think they're all the same age. That's why they might be the 24 or whatever. But
Yeah.
this is the first album with a subtitle on it, right?
Yes, it is. The
Yeah,
rest
'cause
of them were
23 didn't have one? I thought 23 had one.
No,
It was because it was just 20,
22,
22,
23.
23,
Oh, I
and then
thought
I mean
23
they had
had a
there was the
subtitle.
Panda Bear EP, but I mean that's that or like the mini sort of thing.
I
But
think it was a single.
single, yeah, it was like a
I can
single
check,
album.
though.
There was like a couple other songs on there, but I mean, yeah, the point stands that this is the first major release of the numbers with a subtitle on it.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, Panda Bear was a single and had one other song on there called Bamboo.
Which is a great song, by the way. I love that.
Yep.
Okay. First song is Graduation. For this, like, I really liked the dichotomy of like the chill singing and then the sped up like chorus and instrumental. And then like the distorted guitar and the sped up sections that the song ends with, I really, really liked.
Dude, immediately as I heard this, I was like, yes, Hyukoh's back.
Mm-hmm.
I needed this. I needed this in my life.
Like,
Even though it hasn't even been that long since 23, I'm just
Yeah,
like,
I
oh
say
my
23
god.
was
this is the
like
first. Is this the
not
first
even
time
a
they've
year
had
ago.
like back-to-back releases in terms of years? Because I feel like there's always been
Definitely.
because they usually because they're an actual band, so they space out their music
Yeah.
releases more than. And I mean, Hyukoh has a bunch of side projects. It's just solo stuff. So like he's not always like doing stuff under the. He's not doing stuff under the Hyukoh band sort of thing.
Mm-hmm.
Mm.
But like with this, again, I'd say this is like the most familiar in terms of sound. Definitely like the most indie of the tracks. Great falsetto harmonies of as usual. The guitar riff during that chorus, again, like perfect. Love that part. Again, like Nate, you mentioned with the tempo change. Like again, Jacob, this is right down your alley where it's Foo Fighters, like soft chorus, soft verse, loud chorus sort of thing. And
Well, I mean, this is the type of music I used to like listen to before I got into K-pop. Was it's all like alternative indie pop, indie rock, stuff like this. So yeah, like this is already down my alley. Like that's one of the reasons I love Hyukoh is they really hit that spot that I've been I guess like missing out on because I've sort of averted my focus away.
Yep.
Yeah,
It's like the same thing I get with Dreamcatcher and Stray Kids.
Yeah,
Just
we
give me that like metal, give me the like rap rock, like that I don't listen to
through a
anymore.
Korean lens, which is why I
Yeah.
feel like a lot of these groups do well because they're giving us a new sort of perspective on familiar, at least to Americans, sort of sounds.
Yeah.
But Hyukoh is one thing that I'm gonna keep definitely repeating throughout the rest of the review is Hyukoh wears their influences. To steal a line from Anthony Fantano, they wear their influences on their sleeve. Like you can definitely tell, like they're trying to go for like this like very 70s like hard rock type of vibe. Like even the ending is very like if you listen to a lot like old Led Zeppelin, they got the same sort of like effect where like the guitars just go like super delay. It's like very like hazy sort of like thing, and then that's how they'd outro the song. Like that was a very popular sort of technique back when like during like the hippie era, like when like the sort of like that kind of music was coming out. So they're very. The attention to detail that they have in sort of like the era of music that they're trying to capture is very well done.
Yeah. Like Hyukoh is probably like if I were to like show any like Korean group to my dad, like this is who I would show him.
Yeah,
because this is just like the stuff he listens to. Like you know, like just like straight up, just like good rock and roll. I guess like. It's just, I don't know. Hyukoh is just like I honestly, I'd show them to anyone and be like, dude, this is a fantastic band.
Yeah, regardless of whether you like Korean music or not, because I feel it's something that sort of, I feel like this transcends the boundary most because it's familiar enough of a sound that the lack of language or like familiarity. And I mean, hey, Hyukoh released a lot of English songs too, so they're very accessible.
Yep.
Next we have Sky World, which is kind of like an intro to the title track but not because it's not the first song on the album.
I don't know. This was a weird sort of
but
setup.
yeah, like it's really
It's like
weird.
a music box.
I like
almost,
the organ
but
part
with his voice.
There's like an organ part following the singing that I really liked, and then the music video, I have no idea what the hell is going on. So weird.
He's like a tiki head, or like he has like grass for
He
head.
has a mountain.
Yeah, and then like they're on his head or something like that. I don't know what's going on.
And then he puts a giant beanie on.
Yeah, they need to sell that. They definitely need to
weird.
sell a giant ass beanie that you put over. We actually no. I want somebody to cosplay this, like dead ass. I need somebody to cosplay.
Well, if it was covered in blue hair, it would be like Marge Simpson.
Oh no. But in terms of my thoughts on this song, again, in terms of like wearing their influences on their sleeve, this is just straight up. They're trying to emulate like Sgt. Pepper's Lonely Heart Club Band, like Beatles, like conceptual kind of style sort of thing. And
I mean, Hyukoh is like the members have even like gone out and said like, yeah, like the Beatles are one of our biggest influences.
And I mean, yeah,
like, you really can see that in this kind of stuff.
I don't think there's any artist that hasn't been influenced by the Beatles at some point, because pop music was influenced by the Beatles. Like metal was like Helter Skelter was sort of like the like proto metal in some degree.
Yeah.
Like almost every genre of music has been influenced by them, so it's no surprise that where their influences come from. And yeah, I think this worked well, especially with the weird ass music video.
Yeah. Like as I was saying before, it's kind of weird. Like Ohyuk's voice in this one, it's almost like you're like winding up a music box. Kind of. I guess the instrumentals sort of help with that, but I think it's interesting, and it's almost got like this like church choir aesthetic to it, I guess.
Yeah.
Like you're singing out of a book.
Yep.
Which I think definitely was probably intentional, like for
definitely.
Sort of, like,
Well, yeah, there's like an
sort of
organ
thing.
in it, so
Yeah.
And I mean, yeah, organ was definitely popular back in like 70s. Like Doors loved using their organ sort of sounds.
Yep. Next we have Love Ya, which is the title track. And this is like pretty much like straight what I expected from a Hyukoh title track. Like,
yeah, kind of
acoustic,
like
acoustic indie pop rock. There's a lot of percussion fills, like a lot of falsetto. There's like the chanting, singing that they like doing. Yeah, pretty much exactly what I expected. I like the aesthetics of the music video, but is it just a giant swinger party?
Yeah,
it's like,
it's
like really weird.
Yeah, there's just like weird European shit.
Yeah, they're just in like a weird European house with just like a bunch of couples, but like I can't tell if it's a swinger party or not.
But I mean, I'd say the message of it is pretty.
The message is good, yeah.
Yeah,
obviously.
there's like I'd say like for a Korean group, it's pretty bold of them to just have like a lot like straight up dead ass like LGBTQ representation in the albums or like the music video. So that's great. It's age gated because there's like naked people everywhere.
Yeah, there are boobs in one shot.
Yeah. As for what I thought of this, this is basically like. Again, like following with the sort of Beatles analogy, this is again like very heavily influenced by them, and I'd say what brings that to like I guess the head is the drums on this are incredible. Like Ringo Starr, like as a drummer, like he got shit on because like he has like such a basic kit and like all he'd do is like like really like simple fills, but they were effective in how he was very effective in using. Like like the simple kit that he had, and like having that add to the music, and I feel like that it's very well. It's like it's utilized in the same way here. So like I love that aspect of it. Again, like the really cool filter that they have on like the twang, like sort of like thing that they have on the guitar. It's so good. Again, like that especially like the bridge where it's like na 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 na, like that whole like vocalization thing, and very very like Beatles-esque. This is basically the tomboy of this album. Like it's sort of like the slow-paced one. It's the one that's obviously going to be the most prominent in the entire music of the entire album. So yeah, it's another huge hit, and I like that. Hey, I like that it's a bit of a different sort of take for Hyukoh. Like this album was definitely a lot more mellow than I thought it was going to be in comparison, because 23 was like very like hard hitting, and like there was a lot of like more hard rock influence, but yeah, I think this is still it was still well executed.
Yep.
I think this definitely serves as like the sort of like tomboy of this album, I guess, if I were to liken it to another one of their songs. And yeah, I think it's definitely effective at that. It's like got the sort of like almost like anthem feeling.
Yeah.
And you know, I don't know. It's nice, easy listening. I guess it's like staple Hyukoh, I guess, as Nate was saying. But you know, yeah, I don't know. I don't know. It's weird for me to talk about music, I guess, still, even though I do it on a weekly basis.
I was gonna say we do it.
Yeah.
We've been doing it for a year and a half.
Yeah.
Like, it's different, but I'm surprisingly still high on like the sound that they went for this album, because it's just the execution was just so well done.
Well, I just love that Hyukoh, like they keep their sort of you know, their own sound, but at the same time they always bring something that's like very, very different. Like 22 and 23, it's like night and day.
Yeah.
And like 23 and this is like night and day.
There's a visible, like what we were saying with AOA, is there's no progression whatsoever. Where Hyukoh, they're a regular band in that you can see the visible progression from album to album album to release to release to release. So it's awesome to see just like how much they've grown, or how their sound sort of changes between the releases.
Yeah, and that is why they're like one of my all-time favorite bands, like period, overall. Like I absolutely love Hyukoh.
Next we have Citizen Kane.
My favorite song in the album.
Yep, easily my favorite song.
That's my favorite as well. I really like the driving beat and guitar.
I can't wait to see it live.
It fits the song well. And the pre-chorus and the chorus with like the chanting, and then the pre-chorus having like the more tom-based beat, and then the chorus going back into like the super hard driving beat. I really liked that.
Oh, the bass line on this was just like the dankest bass line I've heard in my entire life. It's so good. Like the first time I heard this song, I picked up like my dusty bass that's somewhere in the closet and tried to learn the bass line for it, because it's so good. This might be my favorite Hyukoh song, and that's saying a lot because I love almost everything they do. And then to see this on an Apple like iPhone 10 commercial with like the Animoji thing, like while I'm watching the NBA Finals like yesterday or like the other day, and I'm just like, they totally deserve all this exposure, and I'm hoping more people get to know Hyukoh, because I know some people that they love K-pop, but they might not even know who Hyukoh is. So that's awesome that they got all this exposure in like Apple Music. They're featured, like you said, Jacob. They're on like the alternative sort of playlist thing, and like I'm honestly I don't know what else there is to say. Like there's just everything about this I love.
One thing I want to ask you, Andrew, what was your like initial reaction when you like you're watching TV and it just pops up and you're like, wait, what?
Well, I mean, I wasn't really surprised, because I saw like there was a teaser video where Hyukoh's literally talking into an iPhone. Like you see him at the bottom, and then like the back is green screened, where it's him in like the bear like thing. Like the bear Animoji, like saying like, our newest single, like Citizen Kane, is out on Apple Music. He's obviously speaking in Korean, but yeah, I'm just like, okay, that's, I guess, is that a thing? Is that a thing with Hyukoh now? And I'm just like, oh my god, like seeing it in like what was a kind of a, or actually no, that was a good game actually, but it was awesome. And no, like the NBA Finals is one of the most. There's a lot of eyes on this. I mean, maybe not as much because it's like the third straight year of freaking, or fourth straight year of freaking Golden State and Cavs, and I think they're getting murdered right now, so it might be a sweep. Oh god, they're getting murdered. That's probably over.
They're getting murdered last time because we were watching it when we were in Austin.
Yeah, so like there's still a lot of eyes on that, and that's awesome. That like I want to know how they got like in touch with Apple, or like what Apple sort of like
must be a fan at Apple.
Yeah,
that's
but
what
I mean,
my guess would be.
if you've looked at the history of Apple commercials, like dating back to like the iPod, you know the music that they use in their commercials become like iconic. Like U2 kind of had like a second resurgence, because like everyone's like, oh, that's the song I heard in the like people like associate music with like what they see in the commercial or whatever. So.
Well, yeah, that's another thing. It's like I was reading about it. I think it was on Medium or something, some kind of article. It was like they always use alternative and indie music on commercials because it's like sort of a genre that literally everyone can like.
Yeah,
like
and
whether you're
it's
into
great
country
advertising
or
music.
rock or pop or whatever. Yeah, it's like it's very, very accessible. So yeah.
Yeah, so like I can't even imagine to think of the bump that Hyukoh's gonna get for being in an Apple commercial. Then and for them to be like, of all the K-pop groups that have existed and have been popular throughout the years, for Hyukoh to be like the one to get an Apple commercial, that's awesome.
Yeah. Next we have Gang Gang Shiel. I looked it up. Shiel is a Austrian painter. I don't know what Gang Gang Shiel is though. This is just like a more chill indie pop, like pop rock song. I really like the super high pitched distorted guitar. It could be a synth. I actually can't really tell if it's distorted guitar or a synth.
It might be both.
I think it's guitar, to be honest.
I think
or
it
just
is
like
guitar,
or just they're using the really high frets.
Yeah, it could be synth, but I thought it was like just super distorted guitar too. But that was like definitely the most standout part of the song for me.
I'd say this is definitely it's kind of the weakest of the album, but I still like the folk vibe that it's got going for it, and obviously like the vocals are very well done again with Hyukoh.
I really appreciate this track on the album because I like how like laid back it is, even compared to like how laid back the other songs are. I think it's a good like I guess the word we've been using is palate cleanser, so to say, before the the ending track, the finale of the mini album or EP, I guess.
Yep.
Yeah, because you could see a gradual build up between Skyworld to Love Ya, and then it just peaks. It peaks at Citizen Kane. They sort of bring it back down with this song. So yeah, you can. There's thought put into the arrangement of the album tracks.
Yeah.
Anything else?
Nope.
And last is Goodbye Soul. So I thought this was going to be like piano-based ballady song because of the intro.
I gotta listen to this song as I'm leaving Korea next year.
Yeah. But then
this is gonna be like this is the end of your Korea vlog.
Yep, it's the ending credits.
Yep. But yeah, like then the drum comes in. I really like how it builds the chorus and just like gets harder with the singing and the instrumentals.
Yeah, definitely.
The song is like an interesting blend of between like the sort of piano parts. It's kind of and like the more upbeat with the drums and the guitars going of the like I guess the verses and the chorus, but it's kind of an interesting blend of like 90s Britpop with like kind of like the sound of early Coldplay. If that makes any sense. So I'm thinking like when I think of like the vocals, especially like the kind of vocals that he's going after is very like reminiscent like Blur or Oasis or like the effects that they have going on their guitars. It's very, again, they're wearing the influences on their sleeve and again, it works well. It works very well. And again, you don't really like even Oasis has kind of gone away from this kind of sound. So like it's cool to see how like Hyukoh kind of picks and chooses like different sort of retro like influences and sort of like helps bring that into the modern age, but it's still identifiably Hyukoh, which is just that's a very hard quality to sort of. It's hard to make an inspiration or not sound just like an imitation, where it's just like it doesn't sound like they're just copying like these groups. So that's definitely a credit to the musicality that Hyukoh brings to the table.
Yeah.
So this, I don't want to say it's one of my favorite songs because like all of them are so good, but like I think it'd be between this and Citizen Kane if I were to pick a favorite. I think it's a really good way to end the album out, I guess. It's nice and catchy. I could totally see this getting an MV down the line. Or
definitely.
I really hope they use this as like a closing at the
an encore
concert
song
in September. Yeah, yeah, either this or like Tomboy or something like that. So
yeah. Okay. So rankings. So I don't know if you guys remember, but like for 23, I think I gave it like a 6.
God.
Which like
Boo.
like so to me this just isn't the music I listen to. And I think with a full album, it just started getting like tiring for me to listen to it. If that kind of makes sense, and it kind of just like blended together. But I think with this being a like mini album,
yeah,
I was able to appreciate it a lot more. So for me, I gave it a 5 for music, a 2 for concept. But then it was definitely an 8. So I did give them a bias point. I wouldn't have, because they aren't my bias. Like I don't like I definitely don't follow them or anything, but this is kind of what Jacob made the bias point for, to be honest. Yeah. And like, yeah, it definitely wasn't a 7. It was closer to a 9. I think, like, I know I'm gonna be probably the lowest ranking on this with an 8, but yeah, I think like it's just my personal tastes. It's not exactly my thing, but I did think this album was really good. So yeah, I gave it an 8.
6 out of 6 for music.
2, 3.
3 out of 3 for concept.
3.
1 out of 1 for bias.
Jacob gave it a 10.
10.
Okay.
Did I ruin it?
I didn't like.
I
think I've gushed it on.
Nate is Simon today.
Yeah.
Yep.
I think I've gushed on enough about like how much I love this album and how much I love Hyukoh, but I feel like I didn't even talk about how awesome the album art is. You kidding me? Like this stuff looks like really some type of like freaking like post-impressionist like Van Gogh type painting and all that sort of stuff. They have the panda bear in there. They have all these like different people. Or like, this is an album that I would want to buy on vinyl because the art would not be justified on like a tiny ass CD. Like this is one of those albums that you buy for the art. So like just like this entire like the entire album just can be described with that one word, just art. Like this is art like in its purest form. Like I'm just I don't know how they do it. Like they just keep releasing music and I'm just a sucker for it every single time. And yeah, I cannot wait till we see them in September. I cannot wait. Like I possibly might be more hyped to see them now than I am before, because there's gonna be such a big following now that they've like I feel like 23 was kind of a watershed moment for Hyukoh in America, where I feel like a bunch of us like me, like I didn't even hear of Hyukoh before 23, but now like I feel like and with how big like Tomboy was, I feel like there's gonna be way more people, so it's only going to make the experience way better. And they're an awesome band live. They're so good. So just
I really can't wait.
Yeah, your brains will be blown to smithereens.
Dude, like legitimately, like I'm almost like more excited to see Hyukoh than I am to go to KCON. Like
yeah, I feel you on that. Like they're definitely worth seeing, and if you have a chance, please make the effort to go see them, because they are a band worth seeing live, especially with live instruments and everything. It's an experience, and I feel like this album's an experience too. So just that's why it deserves a 10. No ifs, ands, or buts about it. It's a 10 in my eyes, and I rarely give out 10s, so that means a lot.
Yeah. For me, again, like I absolutely adore Hyukoh. Like they're easily probably my favorite Korean band, I guess. 10 out of 10 for me. I don't know. I love every song on the album. It's like similar to like 23, where like since it came out, I've been listening to it every day. Mm-hmm. Like even Graduation. Like I listen to I love listening to that kind of stuff, like alternative and stuff like that while I work, because it's good to just it's nice and relaxing and stuff like that. And then there's like Citizen Kane, which is literally a song that I'll like turn all the way up on the radio in my car and drive so like lit. 70 miles an hour down the highway. Like that is my song, man. Cause like I have to drive like an hour to get back home from Rochester where I work, so like I have to drive through the middle of nowhere on these like open roads. It's like perfect.
Hong Kong taxi driver. It's just like
yeah, exactly. Exactly. Like so good. Yeah, 10 out of 10 easily.
I'm
So,
sorry I screwed it
yeah.
up.
So it's a 9.
It's a 9 overall. Still
Yeah.
gets a shiny.
It still gets a shiny, and I mean,
Hey,
Even if Nate gave it
it's-
a 0, I'd give it a shiny still.
It's like how I made you give Pristine a shiny yesterday, even though last week,
basically.
even though we didn't even
Rate
score it.
Yeah.
Although
Yeah.
I did 10 out of 10. It's 10 out of 10. But no,
Alright,
yeah,
so-
I actually did like this album a lot, and
Yeah,
like
it's
saying something
it's-
for this not being my music at all.
Yeah. I mean, it's nice and refreshing. Like every time Hyukoh comes out with something, it's I don't know. I always just look forward to it. I guess similar to when like Epic High puts out music. Like
Yeah, because
it's a
they-
similar feeling, you know.
they take
What
their
are they
time.
gonna do next?
Yeah, and you're
Yep.
always in anticipation of what their next or the evolution of that sound is again. So
Speaking of Epic High, Tablo said he's giving us a lot of new music this summer.
don't bamboozle
But
us.
we have to
God
pay
damn it.
attention, whatever that means. So
Yeah,
I don't know if that
what that
means.
means.
I think
but-
that means he's gonna be producing for other
Artists, probably.
artists.
Damn.
Is what I took that as.
Or
Like,
wait,
if-
what if it's
What else
another
would-
Tablo album?
us having to pay attention mean other than it's not
I
going
want-
to be obvious.
I want a Tablo
maybe.
Hyukoh collaboration, not just a Tablo Epic High collaboration. So yeah, next time,
I want them to remake
That
Airbag,
Tablo
so I
Epic
get
High.
a studio version of that.
yeah, Airbag with Hyukoh on vocals. Yeah, that needs to be
Yeah.
remade, definitely.
Damn it, Soul. Soul's getting destroyed and I'm sad.
Oh,
Oh,
I'm
no,
pulling an
Overwatch-
Andrew and
yeah,
watching
they- yeah,
Overwatch
they
League
screwed
on my
it.
phone
Yeah.
down here. If they win this, they still have a chance of the playoffs. I think if they lose this, they're probably not making it.
Golden State is basically gonna win. They're up by like
so-
23 points with 9 minutes left to go. So congratulations to the Golden State Warriors, back-to-back champions of the NBA.